How are you?
I am living a dream, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you. Um, I apologize for last time about the
Oh,
mix up with,
no
so
worries.
that's why I sent the Zoom invite because I thought it would be better that
Gotcha.
way we just join at the same time. And
Sure. No worries.
um, so I've been reading about you and what a badass you are.
I appreciate that. I'm trying to match your awesomeness for sure.
Evan's actually on this call. He actually his group actually set up the meeting between us.
Sounds good. What's up, Evan?
Hey, how are you? Sorry, I'll just be on mute so there's no background noise. Just wanted to, listen, make sure, help with any follow-up items, images, assets, stuff like that.
Sounds good. All right. No problem. Alice, did you have any questions for me about anything before we got started?
No, I've been just reading up on you.
Okay.
Um, Evan's group sent me a nice bio on your career and what you've accomplished. So congratulations on your success, Dominic.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. It's been a long road, but it's one that's still I'm still writing chapters to it. So, but it's been fun along the way for sure. So I know we have scheduled for about like 20-25 minutes. Is that still okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. And unless you have any more questions, I'll go ahead and get started.
Okay.
All righty, give me just a second. Just pull up my notes here. Where are they? All righty, let's do it. All right, Startup Nation. So I hope you're ready to receive some value today. My name is Dominic Lawson, and this is the Startup Life, the show for entrepreneurs and career-minded professionals. Startup Nation, when we bring people here on the Startup Life, my favorite entrepreneurs are the ones that, like, not only are they creating amazing businesses or creating amazing products, but when you have those that create products and stuff that have a social impact on the world, that always just melts my heart. And we have a fantastic guest for you today. She is the founder and president of Solight Design Inc. Bring it up, want to give it up for the one and only Alice Chun. Alice, how are you, ma'am?
I'm doing great, Dominic. Really grateful for your invitation here. This is very exciting.
For sure, for sure. And we're so grateful to have you on the show and to learn from you. And we're going to dive into, all about you and the things that you do and get some insight from you. But before I dive into that, I just want to ask you this. We've been asking a lot of guests lately here about the year 2020 and some takeaways, some things you learned and stuff like that. So we want to kind of hear from you, Alice. What are some big takeaways, some things that you learned from the business side, from your professional side, and everything in between? What are some big takeaways for you from 2020, Alice?
Well, I think that 2020 has so many. I don't know where to start because
That's fair.
it's we're about purpose. Our
Right.
our companies, I have two companies. One is Solight Design, and that's
Right.
a solar technology company.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other company is called SEEUS95 Inc. And I've invented a new type of transparent N95 mask,
Right.
basically due to the pandemic back in March of 2020. It was heart-wrenching seeing all of these doctors and healthcare workers and also the public getting all sorts of rashes and bruising on their faces due to face masks.
Right.
And then just realizing that face masks don't even work if they're not sealed to your face completely.
That's true.
So
That's very
uh,
true.
I turned my one of the takeaways is any entrepreneur has the power to create change. They have the power to make a difference. As long as they have that passion and purpose and value and belief in how they can make an impact. And it can be something small, it can be something great, but I just started with the idea of let's do better. Let's try to make something better. Let's try not to create harm. So, and then when the research came in, I have a background. I used to be a professor in design and material technology at Columbia University and at Parsons, the New School. And my specialty was material technology. So, that being said, I do a lot of research on how the public has been really neglecting our, going back to how small things make a big difference, how each one of us has really contributed to climate change because of very small acts like throwing away plastic and buying plastic products and and such, and that climate change and our health, our environment is all interconnected, and even this pandemic is connected to climate change. So that being said, I think one of the biggest takeaways is that in and of itself, that everything that we do, the choices that we make every day for our lives, has an impact through multiplicity, through our collective contributions to whatever we do. So, and I think we all have the power to change what's happening. So, I think that's one of the biggest takeaways.
Gotcha. And, and I appreciate that because, I absolutely agree with that part when you talk about like how we're all kind of connected, and I think 2020 really reminded us of that as well, that the little, good or bad that we kind of put out there really does affect the next person more, we like to think about, I guess. And when you talked about climate change, that actually kind of leads us to your company, Solight Design, that I kind of want to talk to, start, a little bit about Alice. And Startup Nation, if you want to check out Solight Design, we have a link there in the show notes for easy access if you listen to the replay on the podcast. It's solight-design.com. Just want to make sure I get that in there as well. Once again, that link is there in the show notes for easy access. So kind of tell us about the Solar Puff, because I was fascinated by this product. And I know you've been doing some really good some good things with it that we're going to talk about a little bit later. But talk about Solight Design and the Solar Puff, if you don't mind.
Okay, so oddly enough, talking about startup companies is really fantastic because being an entrepreneur, I didn't look into being an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurialism found me. Right. And it was really a decision for me to go into entrepreneurship because I knew that this new invention would make a great impact on people's lives, especially right after the Haiti earthquake. I was teaching at Columbia University at the time and realized that 2.6 billion people live without access to electricity, and they use kerosene to light their world at night. And then here, and that causes tremendous amounts of toxins, and it also kills so many children because of the bad air pollution from kerosene lighting. But also here, the use of fossil fuels and pollution that's created also is connected again with our children and our health and our family's health.
Absolutely.
Because my son was born with asthma, and we'd be going to the doctor's office all the time. And I realized that almost every single kid in the doctor's office also had asthma. And, there's a saying, a worried mom does better research than the FBI. So that's basically what I did, and realized that 1 out of 4 kids have asthma in New York City. It's 40% higher than the rest of the country. And then you'll see every single urban area across the globe having these spikes in asthma and extreme allergies. And it's basically due to the pollution in the air. Our gene pool as a human species should not be changing this rapidly. So it has to be because of our environment. And that's when I decided to just focus on solar energy, because the sun is an amazing thing. It literally brings us every day enough energy to give everyone on the planet a light bulb that will shine bright for their entire lifetime. That's
Right.
700 billion people. Anyway, so that's when I decided to research every single solar light out on the market. And they were all hard plastic, not recyclable, heavy, utilitarian looking. And when I went to Haiti, I realized that, everyone needs something that's very light, flat packable, but also we realized there is an absence in giving people beauty, wonder, awe, something that's designed for joy. And I grew up making origami balloons when I was a little girl. I'm Korean. My family's Korean, and origami was kind of a pastime. And so I based the solar puff design on the origami balloon. So it inflates, magically pops open into a beautiful cube, but also flat packs into almost a letter size object. And what we really believe in through our work in Haiti is that design provides dignity, that something that's beautiful matters no matter where you are. If you're in New York versus Nigeria or Haiti, that design matters. And a lot of people don't think about that when they're doing humanitarian aid. The cost is what's always the killer in terms of design. So Solar Puff is actually got an award from the United States Patent Office for Patents for Humanity because of the work that we've been doing globally. And we started the company basically to help during disaster relief, emergencies, regions where there's no electricity, but also we're also trying to target the United States and first world countries because, again, small things matter. And if we all work together and stopped tapping into the grid all the time, just a little bit could go a long way in terms of one solar puff being used a few hours a night every night for each person could save 90 pounds of carbon emissions every year.
Wow. And it's funny because we never really think about that impact. I didn't even know about that impact until I start, doing prep for our conversation today and stuff like that. So I appreciate you sharing that with us. I want to ask a quick follow-up. Because, I think one of the cool things that I like about the solar puff, and you talked about your background with origami and stuff like that. And there are a lot of entrepreneurs out there who are trying to create products and stuff like that. I'm curious, if you could just share with us, what is the Alice Doctrine when it comes to creativity and innovation when it comes to creating products? Like, what's one of those 1 to 2 things that we should really keep in mind when we're creating a new product or inventing a new product, if you don't mind?
Well, my patent attorney will tell me that this is not legal advice.
Fair enough.
And that this is just my experience, but rule number 1 is research.
Gotcha.
Like, be observant of what is happening in the world and around you so that you're aware of problems that need to be solved.
I hear that.
And usually problems already have a solution, which, in the case of the mask, the problem of, having to protect our faces from bacteria and viruses has a solution already, but it's a bad solution. So, the entrepreneur will problematize that solution and create something better. And so that's something that everyone should kind of say to themselves, what is the problem I'm solving and how am I making it better? and how will it help people? Because part of that, the answer to that question goes into your branding, marketing, and how you create a revenue stream.
Right.
And so that link to engaging your customers and or potential customers and people that would benefit, I think that's where you need to start. And then in terms of an idea, going from an idea to an actual product that's on shelves, I used to tell my students that a good architect has the hands of an angel and the mind of a thief. And I think that a good entrepreneur has to have hands of an angel and mind of a thief.
I hear that.
And having the mind of a thief has to do with grit, perseverance, a kind of a purpose of never giving up, and resourcefulness, and being able to you can train yourself to see around corners. And it's something that doesn't come naturally, but you can teach yourself to do that. And it's all about experience and learning from your experiences. So I've actually made a lot of mistakes in my career of being an entrepreneur, but I've learned so much, and I'm so grateful for all of those mistakes, because the amount of knowledge that I know now, I'm prepared more than ever
for sure
to take on a new company and a new business. I mean, I started this company during the pandemic. So
right.
Anyway, and then the third is protect all of your inventions. So I mean, some people feel that if they file for a patent for a new product or a new idea, that people can just look up the patent and copy. But it's really my experience is that you're able to harness more investment. It gives you more authenticity and makes you more valuable. And basically, that becomes an asset for your company as well.
For sure.
And that has value. So I would encourage creative minds and entrepreneurs to go in that route. So and I guess the other thing about the startup is that you have to really look deeply at the people that you want to get on the bus. So there's this fantastic book called by Jim Collins, From Good to Great. And
Great
he
book.
talks about phenomenal. Like, it's on every reading list of every business school. And it's about, and he there's this whole chapter about choosing the right people. There's a lot of talent out there, but there's a lot of people that say they're going to do something and they don't do it. So you need to figure out the right people for your company, the right people that are like-minded, that have the same values as you do in terms of building a great company. And a lot of it has to do with getting the right people on the bus.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And really quickly with SEEUS95, are you still crowdfunding on Indiegogo?
Yes, okay. We're taking pre-orders, and we are working on mass production. It hasn't been done before. So the detailing, the revisions, the work that it takes to really get from an idea and a prototype to production is tremendous. And that's the other thing that I have to emphasize, is that if you don't start from the beginning with a set of values and principles that drive your energy and your passion for what you're doing, most people will give up because the work that it takes, the blood, the sweat, the tears, the agony of the experience from taking an idea to a business is absolutely gut-wrenching and tremendous. So if you don't start with that core value of why you're doing what you're doing, you're going to give up. And so and it's one thing that we always start with as well, because it's just not worth it for us for me to do anything unless we have that core belief of how much impact that we're going to have once we're out there.
For sure. And I appreciate you saying that, because like you said, that if you don't have that core value, you absolutely right. You won't start, or you'll give up rather quickly. So I appreciate you re-emphasizing that for sure for Startup Nation. And we're going to go ahead and start wrapping up with Alice Chun, founder and CEO of SEEUS95 and Solight Design, Inc. I just want to ask you one last question, but before I do, I just want to make sure I get this in here. Make sure, Startup Nation, you check out SEEUS-95.com and also Solight Design, Solight-design.com. And also check out in the show notes, we have Alice's TED Talk that she gave a while back. It's a very interesting talk about, talking about Solight Design. You go into talking about your son and stuff like that a little bit in that. So make sure you check that out. We have that link there in the show notes for easy access. I want to ask you one last question, Alice, before I let you go, because I know you were I'm sorry, say it again.
Absolutely.
For sure. So I know that, you were talking earlier about, doing some work in Haiti with the solar puff. And I saw that, in the show prep and stuff like that. And I know you had hooked up with the Clean Global Initiative. And stuff like that with the work in Haiti. I guess I'm just curious, because I think Startup Nation would definitely get some value from this. Just kind of talk about how that partnership came to be. Did you reach out to them? Did they reach out to you because they heard the work you were doing? Like, hey, let's partner up and go to Haiti. Just kind of talk about really quickly how that came to be, if you don't mind.
So that is I love this question, Dominic. You're so good.
I tried my best.
So relationships are so important for business. It doesn't, and empathy is so important, especially for someone that's starting a company. So when I was at Columbia, I created a Haiti studio to be an innovation studio to help Haiti. And I knew that I think it was at that time, the UN envoy was President Clinton.
Right.
And so I reached out and I didn't give up. I called, 15, 20 times, emailed 50 times, and I invited them to my final review at Columbia. And lo and behold, this fellow walks in. He's a phenomenal guy, Greg Milne, and he's basically works directly with President Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
And he loved what we were doing and eventually asked me to go to Haiti for an expo. And I met President Clinton at this expo. Awesome. And showed him the solar puff. And my early prototype back then was just taped together. It was glue gun together. And when he saw it, his eyes just popped out of his head and he just loved it. And, right. Came back to me and said, I like your lot. And I just was floored. And lo and behold, that was in 2010. And then in 2017, I saw him again in Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria.
Mm-hmm.
And we were able to get over 100,000 lights down to Puerto Rico.
Right.
And I met the mayor, and he was so I don't know if he was flabbergasted, but we have video showing us meeting again
Absolutely.
after 7 years.
And Startup Nation, we have that video in the link in the show notes as well. Sorry, Alice, I didn't want to get that in there. Go ahead.
Great. And he actually at a certain point said, I never thought that this would become, and he loved the solar puff. And eventually I met through the help that we were doing with our NGO partners in Puerto Rico, I met Hillary Clinton as well. And it's all, again, interconnected with, it goes back to empathy and relationships again, because I love Hillary Clinton. She's amazing what she's done for women all over the world.
Absolutely.
And when I met her, I told her, my son came home crying that day of the election, and he couldn't believe that you lost. And she said, we were all crying, and we started talking, and I told her about my work in Dominica with the solar puff, and how I took a plane and flew down to Dominica. They were just decimated after Hurricane Maria, no power. And I went to the oldest tribal nation in North America is called the Kalinago. They live in Dominica, and they were hit the hardest. And I went to 7 schools and talked to them, all the kids, about their power, how they have a light in their minds and their hearts. And that power, if they fight with that light, they can do anything. And I tell them my story about how I created the solar puff, and I gave them each a solar light. And I told them that, every day the sun must kiss this face, so that at night your ambitions and your dreams can grow. And I'm kind of paraphrasing all of this. And I told Hillary, and she said, "Oh my God, I love that story, Alice." And then she asked me to be in her book, the Book of Gutsy Women.
Right.
And I think I look back at the trajectory of the 7 years, and it's all because I just kept in touch with Greg and all of the people that I met, and just creating a relationship with people because you care, and not because you necessarily want something from them or want to make money or be successful. And so that, that's another lesson, I guess.
For sure. No, absolutely. It's a very important one. We tell people all the time that, you can have an amazing idea, but nobody builds anything great by themselves. Relationships matter. And so I appreciate you sharing all of that for sure, Alice. And that's going to wrap up our time with Alice Chun, founder and CEO of SEEUS95 and Solight Design, Inc. Thank you so much, Alice, for coming on the Startup Life. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Nick.
For sure. And as always, Startup Nation, if you have an idea, be about that life, the startup life. And Alice, we are done. Once again, thank you so much for your time, your energy, and everything in between. I appreciate you so much.
Oh my God, Dominic, you're awesome.
I try my best.
You're great. I love talking to you. I could just keep talking to you forever.
Gotcha. I would absolutely love that. I had a ton of more questions, but I wanted to be respectful of your time. I know you got stuff you have to do. I actually want to say thank you to Madison there. She's been kind of the person I've been contacting there. I see she's on the line. So thank you, Madison, so much for setting this up. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for including us, and thank you for your time, Dominic. This has been wonderful.
Oh, no worries. And so, Alice, unless you have any more questions for me, I'm going to give you back your Friday, and you have an amazing weekend.
You too, Dominic. It's great to meet you. Thank you so much.
Sounds good. Take it easy.
Bye.
Bye.